screw it, just do it, because life is short and the world is beautiful, and your ideas and imprint on this world are invaluable. And that is how I approach life. And I try to have as much fun as I can in that process.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi.
This is the first recording for season 3. So I'm very excited about that.
Yay. I'm so excited I get to kick you off with season 3.
Yeah, I know. It's incredible. So today we have Kelly Lewis. She is a powerhouse entrepreneur, travel industry maven, and the true idea machine. Kelly is the founder of Go Girl Guides, the Women's Travel Fest, and Damesly, a boutique women's tour company that curates life changing trips for curious, creative women. She has spent over a decade disrupting the travel space, scaling multiple 6 figure businesses, and sharing her hard earned systems for success. Kelly is also the author of the Amazon best-selling book, Tell Her She Can't, and the founder of Portland's innovative wine spot, a vinotherapy experience recently named one of Time Magazine's world's greatest places for 2025. She's traveled to all 7 continents, visited more than 85 countries, and is on a mission to empower women to see the world and build the life of her dreams. Hey,
Yeah.
Kelly.
Thank you.
So, just a quick recap how Kelly and I met. We met and we didn't meet face to face at this time, but I first knew of Kelly's essence and presence at the Women's Travel Fest in Mexico. And then since then, I've heard your name multiple times with people who are connected to you through either just like a friendship or a professional capacity. And then I found out you were also a business coach. And I feel like that's is when we officially met face to face, one on one.
Yeah. And life has been better ever since.
Agreed, 100%. So, Kelly, I love giving an amazing bio from your perspective, in your own words. Who is Kelly Lewis? Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure, yeah. I am a girl who has a lot of crazy ideas and who cannot help herself but to chase after them. I never thought that I would do half of the things that I've done professionally. I grew up in Hawaii and I was always like curious about the world outside, right? The world beyond the shores, very Moana moment. And so I knew that I wanted to travel. I knew that I wanted to see the world, but travel was not part of my like childhood. We had a family of 6 in Hawaii. It's an expensive place to live. It's an expensive place to leave. So we never went anywhere. And I didn't really start traveling until after I graduated college. I went to college for a degree in journalism. And then after I graduated, I was like, okay, let's get out there and see things, right? I wanted to study abroad, but I couldn't afford it. So I really had to wait until after I graduated to get out there. And then I went on a graduation trip to Fiji and New Zealand and Australia with a friend of mine. And while we were on that trip, we met someone who had a working holiday visa and was living in New Zealand. And I became obsessed with that idea. So I came home, applied for the visa, sold literally everything I owned, sold my toaster, sold my kitchen rug, like sold every single possession, moved to New Zealand for a year, ended up working for a company that did Lord of the Rings tours, funnily enough. And that sort of ended up informing what the rest of my life would look like without me knowing that that was happening at the time. So travel became a bigger and bigger piece of my obsession. Like I was obsessed with traveling. I would dream about places. I had to get there. And then over the course of the next 10 years of my life, I did a lot of traveling and started a lot of businesses in the travel industry. And really, it was never like a thought out plan. It was like one thing led to another thing, led to another thing. And so, yeah, then that's how we got to where we are today.
I love that so much, especially the beginning of your journey of living abroad, giving the Lord of the Rings tours. I think that's so fun. Okay, so I'm a little bit curious how you mentioned that, one thing led to another that led to another. Was it always kind of, I want to help women learn to travel the way that I did, creating these opportunities? Or was it just like, I just happened to come up with a business idea and just because of who I am in my person, it ended up attracting or being kind of like target towards women in travel? What was that process like?
Yeah, so sort of both. After New Zealand, I traveled all across South America. I was backpacking and just, having fun adventures. I was like 22, 23 at the time. And I started to notice things on those adventures that like my girlfriends were telling me, but my guidebooks weren't telling me. And stuff like, be careful of this bus station. It's kind of sketchy, or like it's really hard to find tampons in Argentina. And this was 2000, like 9 at the time. So I looked around at the world and I sort of was like, well, why isn't there information specific for my needs as a solo female traveler? And I didn't like think much more on that until I had a dream in the middle of the night, one night, that I was staring at a guidebook for women. And in that dream, I literally heard a voice and it was like, "This is your calling. You should do this." Like, and I was almost like kicking myself because I was like, "Oh, somebody else already did it. Like, you missed your chance." And the dream, the guidebook was called Go Girl Guides. And I woke up in the morning and again, it was late 2009. I looked around, I did a quick search online for women's travel guidebooks. There wasn't any. And literally, like that day, I started Go Girl Guides. And so Go Girl became the world's first series of travel guidebooks for women. And we published guidebooks on Argentina, Mexico, Thailand, London, New York. We did probably 9 different destinations in the course of building out that company. But it was also kind of like the golden era of travel blogging and just being in the travel online space. It was not super saturated. We didn't have TikTok. It was just blogging. And my background in journalism, like I love to write. That's a big like passion of mine. So I started blogging and I at the time I was working as a journalist for this like tyrant of a man in this little cubicle, and he would come in and just bellow at us about things and I hated it and I made no money. And I was like, I am quitting this job and I'm going to Thailand. And we were writing the first guidebook. And I took my best friend Chrissy that I went on that trip to Fiji, New Zealand, Australia with. And I was like, come with me. You can take pictures. I will write the book and let's just go see what happens. And so 3 months later, I quit that job and I was in Thailand writing the first guidebook. And yeah, so and then again, but it's like my story, if nothing else, is that I never knew what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing, and I'm always figuring it out, right? I had no idea how to write a guidebook. I was a journalist. I worked for newspapers. I did not know how to write a guidebook, but I figured it out because in each place I was like, well, what would I tell my best friend? What would I tell my sister? So from Go Girl, at that point in my life, I was living in Tucson, Arizona, and I was ready to move to New York City to join some friends of mine that were already there. And so I turned my move into a sponsored Penske book tour, right? I took the Go Girl brand and I got a Penske truck and I made this whole nationwide campaign of getting to New York. And I was talking to women about traveling. And I was so moved by the like power of those conversations and how people were so engaged and wanted to talk about traveling and wanted to share their stories and wanted to ask me questions. And so when I got to New York, I was like, now it's time to do things in a bigger way. And that's how Women's Travel Fest started. And Women's Travel Fest was just an idea of like, wouldn't it be amazing if we could bring together women in a powerful way to just talk about traveling and inspire one another? And I poured my heart and soul again. I was 23 at this point, maybe 24. I poured everything I had financially, physically, mentally. Like I maxed out every credit card to make this dream happen. And it exploded. Like we were so lucky. We got Samantha Brown as our first keynote. Expedia came in as our platinum sponsor for the first 3 years of the brand. And I built Women's Travel Fest over the course of 10 years. And then sold it to someone who's amazing, Alex, the travel fashion girl, who's been keeping it going. And so when I met you in Mexico, that was the first year that it was so like transformative for me because I could see Alex running it and her community coming together with my community. And it was like such a beautiful mixture of things. But somewhere along the way in all of this, around 2015, we were like, well, my friends and I, we were like, well, we have hundreds of women talking about travel at Women's Travel Fest. That's amazing, but we should actually go traveling. And at that point in time, I looked around at the landscape and it was either like European big bus tours, which did not resonate with me, or like Kentucky party bus tours, which also did not resonate with me. And so I wanted something for women like myself who, were working hard, making a lot of money. Like I was bartending at the time, I was making so much cash, just hand over fist. And I wanted to travel and I would travel at every available opportunity, but I wanted to travel with women who were also like really building stuff and doing stuff because while I was bartending to finance my businesses, I was still building all of my companies. And so that's how Damesly was born. We were saying, well, there should be something for women in the 30s, 40s, 50s range who are working professionals, who are creatives, and who want to see the world. And so Damesly started in that way. And we began by doing kind of really creative takes on professional development. So we would do like a creative writing retreat in Denver that we called Writing and Writing, and it combined horseback riding in the Rockies with like creative writing workshops. And we did a photography tour through the Grand Canyon, which we called Cameras and Canyons, and just fun things like that. And then as Damesley grew, our community was like, "This is awesome, but we don't always need to learn something. Can we just go somewhere?" And so then we started doing Morocco tours and Jordan tours, and really the Middle East was sort of my, like, first love. So, yeah, so that's where we started running tours to primarily, and then now we've done several countries across Southeast Asia. We went back to Thailand, actually, full circle, back to Thailand last year, and we do several Eastern and Southern Africa tours, even Northern Africa tours. And so, yeah, so we've been running tours for women since 2015. And then somewhere along the way, I found myself at a wine spa in Armenia and the Republic of Georgia. And I was like, wouldn't it be cool if I opened a wine spot? And like, is this is crazy ideas that you just don't think you're actually going to do. But I'm just one of those crazy people that's like, what, how can I figure out a way to do that? Right. So I came home and the Massage Envy I used to go to as a client had closed. And I was like, this is the space for a wine spot if ever there was one. Right. And I didn't really realize at the time that I was building the first wine spot in the United States, but I did, and we just opened that in Portland in November. So it's like this is what I mean when I say one thing led to another thing led to another thing, and that's why I think it's so important, like, to keep following your creativity and following your passion and figuring out the rest later. Yeah. And it is always a bumpy ride, but it is so rewarding to know that you're putting your stamp in the world.
Okay, I have multiple things to say to that. And one thing that I love about you, it's like I didn't know what I was doing or what I was creating, but everything you create becomes so successful. You know what I mean? There are so many people in this world who are like, I'm gonna just do this thing, but then stop even before halfway through. Like, not only maybe you kind of had an idea, but passion behind it, but you completely follow through and level up in everything that you touch and go into. And I think that's part of what makes your story so inspiring for listeners. And okay, so for your wine spa, was that kind of inspired by some things that you saw with traveling as well? Like, how did you come up with the idea for something to be the first in the US?
Yeah, I didn't know it was the worst in the US. I visited wine spas in Armenia and in the Republic of Georgia, and I was sitting in a bathtub of wine, and I was like, "My god, this is so cool. Like, why doesn't this exist where I live?" Because I live in Portland, Oregon, which is, home to the Willamette Valley and some of the best wines in the nation. And so it was kind of just like, what if I did that? And I remember coming back and telling Miranda, who was kind of my right hand in Damesley, being like, wouldn't it be so fun if we opened a wine spa? And she was like, ha ha ha, that's crazy, right? And it is crazy. It was crazy. And I think success is such a loose word because there's so many ways to define success. But for me, success is completing an idea. And like that's really where I thrive in like actualizing things, like getting it done. And Go Girl financially was never a success. Like that company never made me money. It just always lost money because it's really hard to compete in the guidebook space. It always has to be updated. It's expensive to publish. You have to get distribution, et cetera, et cetera. Things that I found out later. But it gave me the seed, which created other things, which ended up giving me financial success, right? But and with women's I mean, with the wine spa, that would never have happened had I not sold Women's Travel Fest because that money went into part of the down payment that I needed to get the loan to make that happen. And so I think success, like, everybody looks at everybody, and I try not to look at anybody when I'm doing stuff. I just try to complete my whole idea and do it through whatever means necessary. And I'm just such a like scrappy manifester. Like I will not let it fail. Like, I will do anything that I can. And the wine spa is still such early days and it is such a big risk. And like there's totally always the chance that we are not going to succeed, that we will end up closing, that I will go bankrupt. I mean, you never know, right? But I'm just like, I don't know, I don't fear that. Like, it sounds weird to say, it sounds, like, super privileged to say, but I'm just like, "Whatever, if I go bankrupt, I'm not gonna go to jail," you know? Like, I tried an idea, it's gonna work or it's not gonna work, and I'll rebuild from that point, and I think it's because I have an entrepreneurial mindset that, like, I know I can make money doing anything. Like, I know how to take an idea and turn it into money, and I've also done a lot of money mindset work specifically. Like, I think when you were speaking, you were talking about leveling up, and I talk about this a lot with my clients and just in general. Money mindset work is so, so important because I didn't grow up in a house that had money. Like, I started working at 15. I worked in a bakery. I worked at Blockbuster. Like, I worked as hard as I could forever because I wanted financial freedom, mostly because I grew up in an environment that had a little bit of abuse. And I wanted no one to ever be able to say that I couldn't do something or I wasn't allowed to go somewhere or like to have control over my actions. And I think ultimately that's how I got into entrepreneurship. And because I'm an entrepreneur, I know that like there will be peaks and valleys forever. And I just like my purpose in this life is to create. And as long as I'm creating, I am succeeding.
I'm giving you your snaps, Kelly. Getting
Like that's
chills.
the goal.
Okay, so speaking about money mindset, I felt like I went on a journey maybe like 6 years ago, kind of trying to change my money mindset. And I was reading the Rich Dad Poor Dad series. And one of the things that he was saying is before you're a successful business owner, prepare to have at least 2 to 3 businesses that fail prior. And it's each of those businesses, you take what you learn from each failure, and I put quote because like you said, success can mean very different things. And then that's how you have all the tools and all the knowledge to create that very successful business. So my question for you as someone who's been a serial entrepreneur is at what point do you know this business I need to walk away from and make the next move as opposed to this is just a point for us and we're going to power through?
Hmm. Yeah, I think for me, it's like, do I still love it? Is my heart still in it? Like, can I? It's not even financial for me. It's like, 'cause I feel like I can turn anything around, but it's like you have to be able to put your passion into it for at least for me. Like, I have to put my whole passion, my whole heart, my whole brain, my whole everything into something for it to turn into dollars. Like, when I am selling something, I'm not just like half Joe Schmo selling. Like, it is my whole body because I believe it. And when I start to feel detached from that, or when I know that I'm excited about something else, that is when I need to make some plan for an exit. And it's hard because as a serial entrepreneur, every time I take a shower, I come up with a business idea. And like it's all the time. And so I have to figure out which ones I'm going to do and where to focus that excitement. And I know that for me, I'm going to always be this way. So like what I'm doing now, I won't always do. There will always be a something else because I love the chase. I love the build. And, like, realizing that about myself and giving myself the grace of that, like, nothing is forever, right? It's just the stone that's leading to the next thing, allows me kind of an impermanence in my belief structure. Like, I'm gonna build this for right now because I love it, and when the time comes that I don't love it, I'm going to change course and either pass it to somebody else so that they can love it and keep growing, and I can make an exit, or just stop doing it because I'm focused on something else. And either way, I think, it honors the hard work and the love that I've put into the business, and, like, it allows me the ability to walk away without feeling guilty.
Yeah, I do think that's good advice because when you are no longer passionate about it, you're right, you're not putting in that same time or energy into that business. And it just feel like because of that alone, it's just not going to have the same type of momentum or success maybe that it was having when you first started.
Yeah, and there are, like, highs and lows in entrepreneurship, right? Like, everybody has a time that's really going well, and everybody has a time when things are not, and, at least for me right now with Wine Spa, like, that's every other month. Like, we have weeks where we kill it, and we have weeks that I'm like, "How am I gonna make payroll?" Right? And it's always an up and down, but I love it. Underlying of all of that, I love it, and I'm excited to be able to do it. I'm excited to show up. I love promoting it. I don't feel like it's not taking more from me than it's giving me.
So, on that kind of train of thought, the biggest thing that I hear about from people, like, why they don't wanna start a business is because there's no time to turn off. They're like, "I like to leave my 9 to 5," and then it depends on what type of 9 to 5 you have, right? But the average person can leave their job, not think about it until they clock in the next day. What are some strategies or guilt-free pleasure things that you do to keep the balance, keep yourself from burning out too fast with your businesses?
Yeah, honestly, I'm jealous of everyone who can clock out and not think of their job. Like, I don't know that I have a great answer because, like, I think about my job 24/7. I'm always working. Even if I'm sitting on the couch watching Survivor, I'm also responding to emails because, like, I also deal with time zone changes, I'm working on a South Korea tour right now, and they don't get back to me until 9 p.m. my time, right? And if I don't respond to them at that time, then I'm not gonna hear from them for another 2 days. So, it's like I am always working and I don't have a great answer for that. And I try just to create systems and to empower people on my team to take over for me when I need a day off here and there. I'm at the spa almost every single day, although today we're recording this and it's Sunday and I might actually not go in, which would be shocking. um, but I build a team that I really trust and I believe in that can carry things forward. And I'm also just like a psycho that loves to work. So my husband, I love him so much and I'm jealous of him all the time because he goes to work and he clocks off and then he does not think about work. And I'm like, what is that freedom like? I have freedom of time, but like mentally, I always have stuff in my brain. So
Because your passion is travel, do you still find that you're able to take trip to either you, your friends, or you and your husband that are not for business on your own?
yeah, definitely. Travel is for sure still something that I love to do. And yeah, I think right now, maybe I'm taking less just because we're so new in building a brick and mortar. But yes, and for our honeymoon, my husband and I, we did 11 countries in Europe. So that was super fun. And when I met him, he did not have a passport. So I was like, if you want this to go forward, you're going to need to change that. Right. So we're always traveling and doing stuff. But everything has its, like, seasons in life, and right now, I'm just a little bit more rooted, I think, than I have been before.
Well, I'm glad that you're still able to make that time because at the end of the day, that is, the number one thing that led to all these great accomplishments.
Yeah, and what's weird, though, on that note is, like, my relationship with travel has also changed. Like,
Mhm.
when I was building the 1st, 2nd, 3rd travel business, like, I was so literally obsessed with travel, like, I would dream about the pyramids. I would dream about all these places. Now at this point, like, I've been to the pyramids probably 7 or 8 times, like, I lead tours frequently to Egypt, frequently to Morocco, I've been to a lot of places, so I don't have the same, like, burning have to get there feeling that I used to have because I've seen so much and I'm so, like, thankful for that, but it's just yeah, I am excited for when I get to have the opportunity to unplug more so than, like, I'm checking off a bucket list.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I like that too. Well, you maybe have answered that. Do you have anything that it's still left on your travel bucket list? Maybe like one place that you're like, okay, before I leave this earth, I need to see this thing or do this thing.
Yeah, definitely. Galapagos, weirdly,
Okay.
I've not been there. Costa Rica, randomly, I don't know, I think I might be the only person that hasn't been there. There are some places that I for sure wanna go, things that I still wanna do. And it's also fun because it's like my husband's not been to a lot of places, so it's fun to travel with him and like
Oh, and kinda see his reaction.
yeah, see his reaction. We don't have kids. I don't know that we're going to. So it's just fun to like see travel through his perspective and to show off places that I know. I'm like, oh yeah, I've been. Let me take you to my favorite cafe. Like little it get to play tour guide.
Okay, so I'm glad you actually mentioned that too because I felt like I've talked to friends, like male and female, who are dating and they're like, "Oh, I can't date anyone without a passport." I was like, "I disagree. I feel like I can't date someone who's not willing to get a passport and not open to try new things." At this point, I'm very similar to you. I've had a very extensive travel history. I don't expect everyone to be like that. The majority of people
Yeah,
aren't like that, but as long as you're willing to go and do
totally.
some things, I think we can work with that.
Totally, and I have, like, some friends, I just had dinner with a friend of mine last night who, like, went to Tuvalu recently. Like, I have friends that I go to more exotic places with. My husband's probably not gonna wanna go to, like, Mongolia with me, but he definitely wants to do Athens, and so I'm like, "Okay, sure, we could do Athens," So it's fun to be able to see things and have new experiences in that way. We were just talking about my 40th birthday is coming up next year, so we were like, where should we go? What should we do? Like, what's left? And we were saying, well, maybe let's do something that's like a little bit easy. So like cruises are super easy. And
Mhm.
I have such a interesting, like, history with the ocean, just having grown up in Hawaii, and then I worked at semester at sea, so I, like, lived on a ship for 4 months and sailed around the world. I've been just on and off ships a lot, and so I was like, "Let's do a cruise, but do it through the Caribbean," because that's a region that I just haven't seen a lot of, and so it's great for everyone. It's great for newbies because you can just unpack one time and you don't have to, like, think about the logistics of travel a lot. It's great for me because I could just get on and off and not worry about everyone. And so I think finding fun things like that will be sort of the theme for the rest of my travels.
Okay, so I want to backtrack a little bit because I had two thoughts I wanted to mention. The first one was how you were talking about you were having conversations with women that you just weren't seeing in guidebooks. And the tampon thing reminded me of something that is so real. So when I first joined Peace Corps, we would have like the Peace Corps official packing list, and then they put us in like a Facebook group for volunteers who were either there who had been before and they had their own packing list. And one girl I feel like could have been, really shy because it's like the group fun of like hundreds of people. And she was like, bring tampons. She's like, you cannot find them in this country or get like a Diva cup or things like that, and it was stuff like that. I was like, "That's what we need to hear. That's what we find, useful as, like, female travelers." And just amongst ourselves, we would share that information of, like, "Don't go to this place at night," or "This person at this village is kinda sketch and will
Yeah,
try to, like, befriend you." And it's those things that you may not necessarily want to put on those as official platforms, but it's just as necessary and
totally. It's like the girlfriend network. I didn't know that about Argentina. I mean, and maybe things have probably changed. This was like 12
yeah.
years ago. But at the time, I was staying with a friend of mine in Buenos Aires, and like she would not share her tampons with me because she was like, no, my family had to literally ship this to me. That's like, you're being so rude. And
Just
she was
give me
like,
one.
no. But I didn't know. And so and like those kinds of conversations, I think subconsciously were like, sticking with me, and that's why I had that dream in the middle of the night, but really it was that dream that kind of kickstarted this whole pathway. And now it's just wild to think like I could have never imagined when I was a journalist or when I was like giving people tours and that were speaking Elvish to me and wearing, Lord of the Rings robes and like buying replica swords. I could have never imagined that I'd own a wine spa one day. Like it's really truly wild what your path will do if you allow yourself to take those risks and do it. And
Mhm.
I don't think I ever had the audacity. Like I should have ever had the audacity to do half the things that I did, And when I was doing them, I was just figuring it out. I was like, okay, great. Let's bartend. Let's make some money. Let's put it on credit cards. Let's figure it out later. Let's try to get sponsors, like really just hustling it from the bottom up. and that is forever, like, the way that I operate. So, at the wine spa, we're in the same phase right now. We're really in the early growth stage. It's absolutely terrifying financially when you think of all the debt that I've had to take on to make it happen, but I just try to tell myself to not think that. And, try to meditate and, like, try to get through those, like, fear moments, because the fear moments stop you from actually doing things, and I just refuse to let them. Like, I just have to keep going.
I always think of like the quote, "Don't compare your beginning to someone else's end." Like you're at the beginning phase of this story and business for you. This is not what it's going to look like years
Yeah,
from now. This is kind of like the work that you have to put in at the beginning of a business. I feel like people think that, "Oh, I'm just going to start this business," and then they get discouraged when it's not taking off in like 2, 3 months. I'm like, someone told me that if you start a business and the first year you break even, that's a huge accomplishment.
absolutely, it is, for sure, and this is my first brick and mortar, like, with actual real expenses, like, big expenses. I have 11 employees, like, my payroll is wild, especially having been, like, a solopreneur for a lot of my life, doing a lot of things on my own, running internet companies. I mean, like, it's a totally different game, but it's so rewarding, and I was talking about it with my husband the other day, and I was like, "Okay, worst case scenario, we fail. We file bankruptcy, we lick our wounds." I mean, we're not buying a house anytime soon anyway. We don't own one, there's nothing to take, so it's like, we lick our wounds, we pick ourselves back up, and, we figure it out. Like, we'll always figure it out, and, like, having that kind of delusional confidence is what it takes, because you will always figure it out. It will always work out. And if it's not this one, it'll be the next one. And what my husband said, he was like, "Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, it was a beautiful chapter." Right. And I think that's like, that phrase keeps replaying in my head. It was a beautiful chapter. It was a beautiful chapter, because, and I think it's so important to keep telling ourselves that, because nothing is guaranteed. We do not know what the future holds for us. We don't know where today's actions are going to take us. So I think I just keep saying, "Yeah, it's a beautiful chapter. We're in it right now, and it's lovely, and I hope that it keeps building and keeps growing." It's working, but it is scary also, but I also wanna, like, share that, and when I have podcast interviews and I have the opportunity to tell people that, I'm like, "Yeah, it's absolutely scary, but, like, that's the point, right?" Like, it has to be scary for you to have enough skin in the game, for you to, like, really put your heart and soul into it and make it happen, and because entrepreneurship is such a privilege and such a gift, while it is also stressful. It's the freedom of my time to be able to go to a Pilates class at 11 a.m. if I want, to be able to binge Netflix all day if I want to, like, that's a gift. To be able to be with my family, like, I have some close family members who are sick right now, and to be able to fly back and forth across the country to be with them whenever I want to is an absolute gift. So,
The things that you're doing and these, like, conversations are definitely having a ripple effect. At that Women's Travel Fest, this is the first year that you have sold it. Some people that I met when Alex was running it, but I met some people who had gone to some of the previous ones, and they were saying at, the last Women Travel Fest they went to, they both left and quit their jobs that week,
ah, I
and they
love that.
started traveling around the world. One of them, I'm not sure what one of them's doing. The other one transitioned to found, like, a remote position, and the other one is I don't know if she's starting a business. I'm not sure, but they both just started traveling so much. They're like, "Why are we putting this off? Like, we're getting burnt out from our jobs." And they said hearing people speaking and talking, like, gave them the confidence and courage to do that. And I know you also work with a lot of businesswomen to help them kind of create their brand, help them work on keynote speaks and like public speaking and things like that. Is there anything like a story or just someone you've met that you've worked with as far as their brand and public speaking and things like that, these type of clients that has inspired you or made you kind of like change the things that you do with your business mindset?
Yeah, I love coaching. First of all, I love it so much because I am an action taker, and, like, the 0 to launch phase is, like, my favorite place to be in, right? When it's, like, very, very scary and you need someone to support you in that, and, like, figuring out the systems and figuring out the tools and figuring out the objectives and the outcomes. Like, I love it. I love coaching, and I love being a part of playing a role in somebody else's business story and like just using all of the mistakes, all of the lessons, all of the successes that I've had to be able to help somebody else to guide them in not making those very costly mistakes and to be able to help them build something is amazing. Has it changed me? I don't know if like personally it's changed me other than it keeps me in that like growth hungry phase, which I just is my favorite place. Like I'm a hungry entrepreneur. Like I love it. It keeps me in that same space and I hold that same energy for them. And like what an honor to be able to help somebody create something, have an impact, tell a story, like share it, it's just yeah, I couldn't have dreamed it. And when I was building Women's Travel Fest, the after effect of that, what you were saying, people quitting their jobs, people meeting each other, that like I just wanted to be able to create a space for community. And I would envision myself on stage and I would envision the energy of everyone happy. And I would do these guided meditations where it was like, that's what I was picturing was like spotlights, stage, happy crowd, happy energy, love. Like that is the vibe that I wanted. And with that vision, just staying so eagle hawk-eyed focus on what that vision, what that energy should feel like, that created opportunity for people to have those experiences, which is the ultimate payback for me. Like, what a gift to be able to say that. And I've met women who've met at Women's Travel Fest and who ended up being business partners. I've seen women on safari in Kenya, cheersing each other, starting a business together, like on one of my Damesly tours. Like I love seeing that and I love being a part of that. And I love that like a crazy silly idea, a what if question led to the end result of that. And it just keeps going. And so and I hope that someone's hearing this and they're like, "Yeah, what if?" Like, they ask themselves that question. You know, you might not wanna open a wine spa. Like, I had no business doing, but you never know, like, what asking yourself, like, "What if I did that? What a crazy idea. What if I did that thing?" would lead you to, and that's the ultimate.
Okay, that is so real. I had a podcast guest first season and they were on this mountain hiking trip, like very intense, like summit, like week-long trip. And they met this woman and she went home soon after and quit her job as a lawyer. And they have created this incredible nonprofit together, mountaineering and raising each mountain they climb. They want to climb the seven summits. The money raised goes to a local nonprofit in that region to help fund some of the projects they're doing. I was just like, could you imagine? You just go on a trip, meet this person, come up with this idea, and you're like, "No, we're gonna do this. We're gonna make this happen." That's incredible that that's one of the things that's coming out of that conference.
And travel, like, the ability to be like,
Yeah, and travel.
what if? Because every trip, you don't know who you're gonna meet on that trip, whether it's, like, the people you're actually traveling with or the people who own the hotel or the people, that end up being your guides, like, you don't know. You don't know if you're gonna end up falling in love, you don't know if you'll have get inspired to build a business, like, every trip is an invitation to change your life,
Mhm.
and that's the best thing about travel, and I think for me, if I look back in my life, how I have the mindset that nothing is permanent and anything, I could change anything at any point in time. And it's created like a fearlessness to just go for it, right? Because you just don't know.
I love that quote, and it's gonna get used on something, I don't know what, but every trip is an invitation to change your life.
Yep.
Sums it up. I love that so much. Okay, so what does your relationship with risk look like today compared to when you were just starting out? And that can
Hmm.
be between as a business owner or just as a traveler.
Yeah. I mean, the risks are riskier. The risks are bigger, right? When I was traveling and just backpacking and bartending, like the risk was not major. Like I would just work until I had enough money and then I would travel until the money ran out, right? It's just like
Mhm.
rinse and repeat that. Now I'm married, I have a brick and mortar, the rent is very expensive, the loan was gigantic, the risks are bigger, right? But it's the same process of creating. So it is bigger, it is scarier, but it's also very familiar, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't know, I feel like when you like, now I'm just my biggest fear is, like, being separated from my husband. Like, it's so lame to say that. I never ever would have imagined. I never even saw myself getting married. It was not like I wasn't like a girl that, like, planned out my wedding when I was a kid. It was not important to me. I wanted to just travel. I wanted to create. I wanted to do, that's my soul's purpose. And so but now I'm like, I'm so happy. I don't wanna get stuck somewhere and, like, not be able to come back to him, So it's like, my relationship with risk has changed because I have more on the table to lose.
That is so sweet, though. That is the cutest thing I've ever heard. Okay, what's one travel mishap or hilarious moment on the road that you can laugh about now,
Oh
even
my
if it wasn't
god.
as funny as the time?
Okay, this is you're actually gonna laugh at this because this is so not me. Like, I am a planner, right? I plan tours. I'm a planner person. I was leading a tour through the Philippines, and I was going from the Philippines to Vietnam to visit my best friend who was living in Vietnam at the time. And at the night before my flight, I realized I never applied for my Vietnamese visa.
No.
Can you believe that? It's 5 PM in the Philippines. My flight is at 10 AM to Vietnam, and I was like, "Oh my god. How could I make this mistake?" Because the processing time for the Vietnamese visa is, like, 72 hours, like, it's 3 days. So I reach out, I just start thinking like, "Okay, who do I know? Who do I know? Who do I know?" And this is why travel is invaluable because you meet a network of people who can help you in many ways. So I reached out to my friend Beverly, who specializes in Vietnam and runs Vietnamese tours, and I messaged her and I was like, "I cannot believe that I'm saying this, but I have a flight to Vietnam in the morning and I forgot to apply for my visa." And she was like, "Oh my god." So so she contacts me, she's like, "I think I might know somebody." So she contacts me with this guy, Mike, on Facebook Messenger, and Mike's like, "No worries, send me $100 and I will figure it out." And I was like, "Oh,
Mike.
okay." So I was like, "Well, I don't have anything to lose because 'cause I'm gonna lose this flight, which is a lot more than $100, and I'm not gonna get to see my best friend, which sucks. I'm gonna have to buy another flight." So I was like, "Screw it, I'll send him $100." So I sent him $100 and he was like, "Don't worry, I'm on it. I'll take care of it." And he like sent me the visa application. I applied for it online. I uploaded into the portal and he like knows somebody in immigration or something, or maybe he works in immigration. I don't know. But I sent him the $100 and he was like, my first flight went to Hong Kong. I had a layover in Hong Kong. And he was like, get on that first flight. And by the time you're in your layover, you'll have your visa in your email. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is like 7 hours from now. So I was like, okay, Mike, I'm just going to put my trust in God. And if nothing else, then I'll fly home from Hong Kong, right? Because Hong Kong has a lot of flights. So I get to the airport and I'm like, but will they even let me get on this flight because I don't have my visa to my end destination? And I like
Yeah.
explained what was happening. And she was like, okay, you can still go to Hong Kong, but we'll just like put in your notes that if you don't get your visa by the time you get on your Vietnamese flight, like this is where it ends and we're not giving you a refund for that leg. So I was like, fair enough. So I get off and I have a 5 hour layover in Hong Kong. I go into the city and I'm like, I'm gonna go eat. Like, I just want to eat Hong Kong. So I went to the city and I went on like a dim sum tour and I just that I just found online and like just went walking around eating things. And sure enough, I'm on my train back to the airport and I'm like, still don't have my visa. And I'm like, I don't know how this is gonna work out. And in Facebook Messenger, he sends me a PDF of my visa. And I was like, how what is happening? How is this happening? And still was like, I don't know if this is real. I don't know if this is forged, but I have no like I might as well just try it, right? So I get to the airport and even as I landed in Vietnam, I was going through immigration. I was like, we're gonna see what's gonna happen, right? I don't know. I just trusted this guy to give me this thing. It looks official, there's a stamp on it. And it was. Mike came through, saved the day, pulled a Vietnam visa out of I don't know where, and the next thing I knew, I was having dinner with my friend in Hoi An. So I was like, that was wild. Yeah,
What a nightmare. My anxiety. First of all, I would have never been able to sleep before that flight. The
I
whole
know.
time in Hong Kong, I would be sweating bullets. How you enjoyed having a tour to eat dim sum.
I
I
know.
would have literally been crying by the time I got up to immigration in Vietnam, like, that is
I
hilarious.
know, but it's that same like, well, screw it, we'll figure it out, right? Like, I'll if I have to put a flight from Hong Kong on my credit card, like I will do that, you know? Like I'll find it would be a bummer. I really want to see my friend, but like I'll figure it out. And Mike, bless his little soul. I don't know how he did it, but that was like one of those moments that was like if I have not had not ever been in the travel industry, if I hadn't connected with these people, if I don't know people globally, like there is no way that I'm going to Vietnam. And it, somehow it worked out. So that was a really funny one. And one of those moments that I was like, how did I do this? Like how did I forget this? You know? It's just crazy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that is some powerful networking right there. Like, that is the best. I'm gonna
Facebook.
have to use that story to explain why you network.
This is why I can't ever leave Meta because it's like it was all like I got my visa through Messenger. So I mean, it was just wild.
And I love how you were like, "Alright, let's just try it." I feel like most people would have been like, "No, we're done. Vietnam's
Yeah, I
not
know.
happening."
Like, well, it's $100. I mean, it'll cost me the same if I have to stay in the Philippines a night, or if it'll cost me a lot more if I have to get home another way because my flight home was through Vietnam. So it was a whole mess, but it ended up being a very funny story.
Well, I'm glad it worked out, that's for sure. Okay, so I have a couple rapid fire questions for you. Window seat or aisle seat?
Window,
Window.
always.
Oh, I'm an aisle girl.
No, I wanna just curl up and just rest on like, make myself tiny and just rest on the little window and, like, not touch anyone.
I just always like to ask. I'm always so interested. Okay, what's a book that changed your life?
Mm. There's so many books that I loved. Shantaram, have you ever read that? It's
No,
like
what's it
an
about?
800-page book that's based in India, and reading it really made me wanna go to India, and so traveling in that region, I did India, Nepal, Bhutan, those were in Tibet, those were, like, very powerful travel experiences that I had solo, and it probably all started because I read Shantaram.
Okay, I'm gonna have to add that to my list.
It's a long one, but it was a good one.
Okay, longer worth it. What's one word a closest friend would use to describe you?
Probably brave.
Yeah, I would agree.
I don't always feel that, but I think that's probably what people would say.
I mean, that Vietnam visa story alone, I feel like
Or
confirmed that
just
adjective.
reckless would maybe be another one.
Okay, what's one thing that you always pack in your travel bag?
A scarf, which I can use as like a towel, I can use as a pillow, I can use as a scarf.
That's a good one. What's a song that instantly puts you in a good mood?
Talking Heads, This Must Be the Place.
Mm.
That's like my favorite song.
You even smiled when you said it.
Yeah, it makes me happy. It's like my cleaning the house song. It's my driving down the street in good weather song. It's like everything.
Okay. What's the best and or worst travel advice that you've received?
I mean, if it's the same advice, it would be don't go there because that is both the best and the worst, right? Because for
Mhm,
me, if you tell me not to do something, I absolutely want to do it. And I do believe that when people say things like that, like they have the best of intentions. They love you and they worry for you, but they also do not have the experience to say that because the world is mostly safe and people are mostly good and travel has just reaffirmed that belief for me over and over and over and over. So when people say don't go there, I always take it with a grain of salt because I know that I probably will end up going there. And then I can use that experience to like inform people about what it's actually like,
mhm,
and all
mhm.
the good people that I met and all the great things that I did and saw and the experiences that I had.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. Take it with a grain of salt. Um, okay, Kelly, is there any last thought or something that we didn't get to or anything that you would like to say?
No, I mean, I hope that this was a fun listen for those who are
Yeah,
listening.
it is. I think it's great.
And I hope that the takeaway is screw it, just do it because life is short and the world is beautiful and your ideas and imprint on this world are invaluable. And that is how I approach life. And I try to have as much fun as I can in that process.
Screw it, just do it. Yes. Our audience, I feel like it's good with that mentality. That
It's
needs to
really
be.
funny. So I was emceeing an event for Travel Oregon a couple weeks ago, and I said something like I was interviewing entrepreneurs on stage, and we were talking about like how you just have to have a screw it, let's do it mentality. And I literally like led the audience in chanting that. We were like, screw it, let's do it. Like it's really funny, but that's my whole secret. It's just you have to just do it and not worry about whether it's going to work or not, because either way, you're going to figure your way out. So
Mhm.
you just got to go for it.
And I feel like what I always tell myself is you can always go back and get another job at the figure
Yeah.
it out part. If you are trying to decide to quit or not, I mean, maybe don't quit that week. Like at first,
Yeah.
maybe give yourself a couple months to put some plans in motion, unless you already have some savings or something. But you can always go back if it's not
Yeah.
that same a company exactly. Like you could always go back to a traditional
For sure.
9
I
to
I
5.
can I can get a job bartending tomorrow if I wanted to
Yeah.
or needed to, and I might. I mean, you never know what life will give you, right? So, I think yeah, I know that I'm capable of hustling really, really, really hard to make things happen, and what changed for me was, like, stopping hustling for other people and putting that same hustle energy into building my own stuff, and there was for sure that, like, 6 to 8-month period of time where it was really stressful and I didn't know how rent was gonna get paid, and I always figured it out, right?
Mhm.
But, until it started actually really working, but it took me going all in for it to start working, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. Like, when I had one foot out all the time, I was succeeding and creating, which is my version of success, but I wasn't really, like, earning the money until I made myself have no other choice.
Well, Kelly, you've been giving us amazing advice. Can you please plug your plugs and let people know where to find you?
Sure. Yeah. I'm at Go Kelly Lewis all over the internet. Wine Spa is the Wine Spa or Wine Spa underscore PDX all over the internet. I love being a coach. I'm always looking to help support other entrepreneurs. Um, and yeah, you can also come travel with me on Damesly.
Yeah, and I will add Kelly is an amazing coach and someone who's coached with their great. Highly recommend.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming and sharing all your gems and your story and just letting us get to know more about you. It was so fun.
Yeah, it was so fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Bye, everyone.